So, Mr. Bonney, that said, the floor is yours. Welcome. Thank you.
Thank you. This is my first time coming to this kind of meeting, and I just want to have two concepts in your head as we go through all this. Government's been giving you guys lots of money, and you're doing all sorts of stuff with it. Mr. Bruton's juggling things, all sorts of stuff. We heard that last time. What I would like to know is when the government turns off the extra stuff, can you maintain everything you're building? Can you afford the overhead that you're taking on with all this new stuff? That's, doing it for the sake of we have the money is nice, but if it's going to fall apart because you can't afford to maintain it, it's a net loss for everything. And the second point I'd like to make is you've accepted all sorts of money on all sorts of different programs, and a lot of the stuff that came in, all of the conditions were not easy to find as to what the limitations were you can spend the money. And I'm not talking about economic levels or any of that kind of stuff, but the one that I seem to recall was having to have a vaccine distribution clinic in a school as a result of one of the funds was like, that was one of the stuff that was out in the public domain. I think it was applying, what are you agreeing to in all the fine print? There's a lot of fine print in these things. That's my main points is just because the money's there, should you take it? You're signing rights away for you, the town, the students. Is it the right answer? Thank you.
Thank you.
Central office retirement incentives that Superintendent Sherrill put into play, which I'll focus on in just a little bit, grant procurement, and some strategic uses of our funding as well, which has led us to be in the position that we are. And also, as we pointed out and talked about in length, the supplementary funds that have helped us weather the effects of COVID-19. I don't need to belabor this point. You had to listen to me for a half hour last meeting on this, but we do have approximately $9.9 million of those dollars left over the next 3 fiscal years. One point that I was kind of upset at myself for not driving home in the last meeting, but I think it came out naturally through the conversation. MPS is not choosing to supplant our general fund obligations with ESSER funds. And what that means is there are districts that can simply take the dollars in and pay for what their normal or traditional costs are in a year and use whatever those accrued savings are to bolster their general fund. You could simply pay payroll with it if you wanted to. To us, that wasn't what the intent of the funds were. The intent of the funds were to help kids now because they need that help because of the effects of the pandemic. And so instead of just taking that 9.9 or 13.28 total and just padding our general fund more and more, we've chosen to put those dollars to work, and Penny and I presented to you on how we are choosing to do that last time. I talked about this.
Brian,
yes, sir.
Put a finer point on that. We're taking one-time funds and allocating them to one-time expenses.
That's exactly correct. Yes, sir. Yeah.
Mr. Bondi's raised a good point.
That's correct.
Some districts are doing that.
Yeah.
Paying their ongoing expenses with one-time funds. We're not.
That's correct. And also some folks also, we're being very cautious not to build in salary schedules related to these funds as well too that are ongoing expenses the district in 3 or 4 years won't be able to deal with.
The other piece I would add is any staffing change we've accounted for, and through attrition, those staffing would fill our future needs if those grant dollars completely go away. So we've planned for all of those pieces of that.